Hello, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome to the first podcast of 2025 of the Professor Joy podcast. It's great to have you here. We're on live today. My name is Gary Metzger. I am a professor of journalism at Long Beach State. I am joined, as always, by my cohort, Stephanie.
Hello.
Our social media superstar, and of course the man who we wouldn't be here without him because he is the creator of JoyScore, Professor Joy.
Thank you so much, sir.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Is your New Year off to a good start?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that
I
sounds
have
good.
decided for this year to be the best of any other year I've ever had.
Okay. I like that. We are deep, and I mean deep, into our book about health score for happiness. In fact, we are in the 8th chapter of the book. We hope you'll pick it up. We're on Amazon, right, Steffi?
Yeah.
Is there any place else they can pick up the book?
Well, the health score, by the way, is not published yet. Joy score is,
JoyScore is.
but health score is in the final stages of refinement as we do these podcasts.
Yes.
And after that, it will be published.
But JoyScore is available,
Yes.
and you should pick it up.
Yes.
It has a wealth of information in there. As I said previously, we have more gifts than Santa Claus ever could have.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Professor Joy and Steffi, would you happen to know, according to Merriam-Webster, the dictionary, the word of the year for 2024?
Wow, I didn't know there is a
The
word.
word of the year was polarization.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
My prediction for 2025 is that the word of the year is going to be microbiome.
Really?
That's my prediction.
Oh, not joy?
That microbiome, because our chapter is called Microbiome Revolution.
Oh.
And I really, truly believe that after doing a lot of research this week and reading through the chapters that we've had in this part of the trilogy and everything, the microbiome is so important to your health and your joyfulness and your happiness that this may be one of the best podcasts that we have talking about the microbiome. I was with a nutritionist last night, Professor Joy, and I said to her that today we were going to be talking about microbiome, and her eyes went wide, and
Really?
she started reeling off information after information about the microbiome. Did you know, Professor Joy and Steffi, that your gut is considered to be your second brain?
Absolutely. In fact, now I started learning about microbiome about 5 years ago because I said, look, we have 3 domains in our book: mind, body, and life. So what would it take to make our body perfect? And I started researching. And I went to Harvard Medical School, being the most prestigious school in the world for medicine. And I realized that they are going to have a symposium on microbiome, 3-day symposium. So I signed up and I show up there and I learned all I could about microbiome. But one thing which was interesting, I said, if Harvard Medical School is working on something, learning and talking about something, it has to be real. It can't be pseudoscience anymore. So what I learned 5 years ago, that microbiome technology is the latest health, science, technology in the world today.
Amen.
Because medicine that we've been practicing for hundreds of years is old news, is old fashioned, is reactive. You get sick, you go to the doctor. If doctor is paying attention, listens to you and gives you half-assed prescription. And if God is in your favor, you get well or you die. Microbiome is something different. Like you say, it's the second brain.
Yes.
Microbiome is based on your DNA. Now, there's another thing I want to tell you. You may already know this. Do you know where serotonin is produced?
I do, but only because you have told me.
Okay.
And it's produced in the gut.
In the gut.
It's
So if your microbiome is out of balance, your gut has hard time producing it. And that is the food for your brain. So, you've heard the chicken or the egg story, which one came first and on and on. Now you say microbiome and your gut is the second brain. I would tend to think it's your first brain because it supports your brain. So meaning if your gut is out of whack, your brain is out of whack.
right. No, very true. And we talk about in the chapter and the research that I see that just verifies what we have in our book, talks about the gut-brain axis
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and how important that is.
Yeah.
Because what's good in the gut will be good for the brain.
So the way to differentiate, and I learned about it, and that is that microbiome technology is based on data science, and it is predictive. It tells you what you can anticipate in your life, the issues, the problems, on and on and on, based on your bacteria and microbiome culture in your gut. The science, medicine that we practice today is reactive. It's after the fact. You get sick, then you go to the doctor, and then God knows.
Right.
Microbiome predicts it, what you can anticipate. And it's unbelievable.
But Professor Joy, isn't it interesting, and we talk about this in the chapter, about how diet is so important to your gut. But the things we talk about with our diet are things that have been around for thousands of years,
Ever.
right?
Ever.
Yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha.
Right.
They have all been around for years and years and years.
Those are our cultured foods. And they enhance the microbiome in your gut. In fact, you need that.
Yes. But the fact that they've been around for years and
For
years
years.
and years.
And so there is something I was thinking about it when you mentioned all those things, And I know I grew up in India. Did you know that I grew up in India?
I did know that, yes.
So, so India practices Hinduism, which is a way of life and is about 5,000 years old. Not new.
No.
So my question is, how did people know what to eat and do 5,000 years ago? So now, India has many scriptures, and one of them is Gita. I don't know if you've heard of it. Okay. The Gita is a educational scripture which God is telling his disciples how to live your life. And one of the things which I found the most interesting, and I adopted it when I was a teen, late teens, it said, you focus on your deeds, what you're supposed to do. The outcome and the fruit is up to me, which is God. So I said, listen, what a good thing to do. If I can just focus on what I'm supposed to do and let God decide what the fruit is going to be. Because that's the part I don't want to worry about, nor I can do anything about. Now, believe it or not, I look back, and this is like Monday morning quarterbacks, okay?
Okay.
My life has been about focusing on achievement, the work I'm supposed to do, and not worry about the money and the outcome and the rewards. And you know, the money followed me. I didn't chase money. Money chased me. And I became so wealthy and so well off, not because I was focusing on money, because I didn't care about money. So this is maybe a lesson people can learn from. If you run after money, you're not going to get it. But if you focus on what you're supposed to do, money would chase you. How about that?
I love that. What a great idea to start 2025.
Oh my God, it's a beautiful idea.
It is a beautiful idea. So, to summarize the chapter, Steffi and Professor Joy, we offer up 10 ideas on ways to support your microbiome.
Uh-huh.
Eat a diverse range of foods. Incorporate fermented foods, which have been around for thousands of years. Add prebiotic-rich foods. Limit intake of artificial sweeteners, of course. Oh my gosh. Eat more fiber. Reduce stress. Exercise regularly, which we do, thank goodness. Stay hydrated. Avoid overuse of antibiotics because that's very
That
bad
depletes
for your gut.
depletes the
Yes.
microbiome.
Oh my gosh. And get enough sleep. Get enough sleep, which I have to admit.
By the way, you've talked about all those things already in our podcast.
Yes, I have.
So this is nothing new.
No. No, it's not. But I think it's always worth repeating,
Yeah.
especially for people who just joined us for the first time. And no, I think it's
You know,
bring that up.
While we are on this topic and subject, you've heard of Deepak Chopra.
I have.
So he was practicing medicine in Boston. And he used to tell his patients these kinds of things that you just mentioned, that if you do this and this and this and this, I don't have to prescribe you the medications I'm prescribing. And so patients are like, what doc? He said, like, you stop smoking and start eating better and start exercising and sleep well. He said, doc, come on. My mother-in-law tells me the same thing, and she doesn't charge me $100.
But it's all true.
It's all true.
It is all
Can
true.
you just give a little more information on the artificial sweetness? Because I think people are not as informed, don't know. They think sugar is bad, so they think the artificial sweetener is a good
I
substitute.
think the artificial sweeteners is more bad than like pure sugar.
They're worse. They're worse.
It really is because it's all made with chemicals.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to talk about it now that you asked the question. Would you allow me to?
Please.
Like he said, sugar is not very good. I mean, within moderation, you're okay.
Okay.
But overly, no, not good. Artificial sweeteners are worse because they are all formulated chemicals.
Yeah.
They kind of, in a way, fooling your taste buds.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in my research, it shows that you're better off just reducing your dependency on sugar, which is good. Now, people who, it's like you've heard of smoking, like people smoke, and then they vape, and then they have nicotine patches, right? So if you're replacing smoking with nicotine patches and this and that, I mean, come on. Yeah. So if you can, just get rid of smoking. Okay? Get rid of sugar, dependency on sugar, train your taste buds. By the way, it's all is kind of a learned behavior. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I think, because I didn't grow up in US, I think in this country we consume the highest level of sugar than any other place in the world. The highest. Everything we eat has sugar in it.
I know, I was surprised that the bread here is so sweet.
Everything. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
I'm just going to see. Oh, guess what? According to AI,
Uh-huh.
Professor Joy, and I just called this up, United States is the biggest consumer of sugar on the globe. According to sources, the country's per capita sugar consumption is 126.4 grams daily. 126 grams daily.
So, three things, and I did little, because part of my research and doctrine, in a way, three things we use the most in the world, in this country. Did you know what percentage of the population is US of the world?
15.
5.
5.
So, I don't know the percentage of sugar, but I know percentage of psychotic drugs made in the world. We consume 90% of those. And we are only 5% of the world population. We consume 30% of the oil of the world, only being 5% of the, I should say, energy, not just oil. Energy in general, we consume 30% of the energy of the world, only being 5% of the world population.
Right.
I don't know what percentage of sugar it is, but it's very high.
Yes, it was very, very high. So I'd like to share with you a little bit of research that aligns with this chapter, Professor Joy. The director of bariatric surgery at Loma Linda University says that research has begun to explore the relationship between joy and gut microbiomes, uncovering interesting connections between gut health and emotional states. And the key points from Keith Sharf's research was talked about the gut-brain axis, which we already know, microbial diversity and mood. Studies have indicated a diverse gut microbiome is associated with better mental health outcomes, including lower anxiety and depressive symptoms.
Which university is that?
He said Loma Linda University.
Oh, Loma Linda.
Yes.
Okay.
Increased joy and probiotics. Research has shown that probiotics, which can help maintain or restore gut microbiota balance, may improve mood and reduce feelings of stress and anxiety. And several animal studies have shown that changes in the gut microbiome can lead to alterations in behavior, including those associated with anxiety and depression, providing insights into how these mechanisms might work in humans. So this is a study with animals. Additionally, A.V. Thomas, in the journal Frontiers in Psychology, this paper discusses the mechanisms through which the gut microbiota can influence joy and emotional resilience, providing a theoretical framework for understanding the gut-brain reaction. And finally, last but not least, an article from Time Magazine, How to Use Your Body to Make Yourself Happier. The author is Janice Kaplan, who has written a New York Times bestseller called the Gratitude Diaries.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yes.
And her new book, What Your Body Knows About Happiness. So if your goal is to be happier in the year ahead, you might focus on your body rather than your mind. Sit
Really?
up a little straighter.
Your body, huh?
Yes, focus on your body rather than your mind, Professor Joy.
Wow.
Sit up a little straighter. Give a brief smile, even a fake one, because these tweaks will tell your brain that something good is about to happen, and you're more likely to feel positive and upbeat. Now, are you ready for this? Now that you're sitting up straighter and everything. Cognitive scientist John Bard at Yale in 2009 found that people who hold a warm cup of coffee before an interview were more likely to find an individual warm and kind.
Wow.
You often hold a warm cup of coffee.
Yeah.
A 2010 study by psychologist Joshua Ackerman showed that people make different decisions when they are seated in a hard chair versus a soft one.
Wow.
Soft seat, soft heart, you might say. But when asked to negotiate to buy a new car, those in the hard chairs offered dramatically less than the others after one offer was rejected. Hard chairs made people harder negotiators.
Oh my God, that's so interesting.
Very often very often our bodies send signals about how we feel, and how our conscious brains are simply responding rather than controlling. This is something that we talked about months ago. Feeling happier may start with going outside.
Right.
Research shows
Right.
that being around water, including lakes, streams, and ponds, improves well-being more dramatically than almost anything else. And we talked about this months ago.
Yeah.
And I know personally a person who almost every single morning walks by the ocean on a bike path looking for, of all things, mermaids. Yeah. Yeah. And this person is always happy. Yeah. Amazing. Matthew White, an environmental psychologist, has found that being near water versus being on a city street is about the same difference in happiness as doing household chores versus going out and socializing with friends.
Wow.
And if you can't get outside, Stephanie, consider bringing nature to you and buying flowers for yourself. Yeah?
You know, it's so interesting because right now, especially, the weather is kind of cold, you know. So, but I still put on my jacket, you know, my hoodie and gloves and go for a walk. And it's cold. And I'm right by the water, you know.
Yeah.
But, and people have asked me, why don't you just use the treadmill upstairs? I say, are you kidding me? That walk outside on the bike path along the ocean breeze and waves is unbelievable.
It is. How about this, Professor Joy? Another way to help your body make you happier is drive a new direction to the grocery store. Try a
A
new
different
fruit.
route.
Yeah, a different route. Try a new fruit at the farmer's market. These sorts of things will inspire your brain to wake up, which brings its own kind of pleasure. One 2013 study, researchers tracked volunteers' movements over several months and looked at their positive or negative emotional states. And they found that having variety in a daily routine and visiting places they had never been simply made people feel happier.
You know, this is a very important topic you talk about today. There's a gentleman, his name is Dr. Clementhal in Cedars-Sinai. At least 5 years ago, when I was researching this, I realized that he was the world's foremost researcher in microbiome technology. And he talks about similar kind of things that this other doctor you talked about researched about 10 different things you should do. Now, my recollection is that Dr. Clementhal said that being joyful has a positive impact on your microbiome culture. So you were talking about have a smile on your face, and I said, it's so interesting because in 80s I was telling my students you have to be smiling in my class. And the student paper in the university made fun of me. He said, this professor kicks you out if you're not smiling in this. And that was true. So interesting.
It is. There was one more thing. Let me get this person's name. Marilee Opezzo at Stanford did this experiment. She had some people sit down for a test and others come up with ideas as they walked on the treadmill. The group on the treadmill did almost twice as well as the others who just sat down.
So walking was better.
Yes. Movement opened up the free flow of ideas.
Really?
Opezzo titled her paper, Give Your Ideas Some Legs.
Ah.
A version of Henry David Thoreau's comment that the moment my legs begin to move, my thoughts begin to flow.
Now I kind of understand why I go for a walk in the morning. It's the two things happening at that time. Okay, number one is 5 a.m. and it's serene, it's beautiful, it's quiet, and it just feels good. And that is the time I get my best ideas.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true, yeah. Walking, taking a shower,
yeah,
it's where you get your best ideas.
yeah.
So everybody, we hope this will inspire you and motivate you to get out, get outside, eat fermented foods, help your gut to help your brain.
Keep a smile on your face.
Keep a smile on your face. Sit up a little taller.
Yeah.
And have a,
Did you notice that Steffi always has a smile on her face?
yes, I did notice that. Steffi always has a smile on her face. Always. So we hope we inspired you today. Come back and join us next week for another fun